Welcome to a new episode of the Confidence in Trading podcast. I am your host, Agnieszka Wood, and I am very happy to welcome you back this week because today I am going to talk about something that is very dear to my heart, and I really hope that if you are a trader, it is also dear to yours. Welcome to episode number 18, The Right Trading Mindset. As some of you might know, I am a trading mindset coach. Outside of trading for over a decade, I also help traders to overcome the psychological obstacles that every trader encounters on his journey. I decided to make this episode about mindset because even though everyone talks about how important mindset is for every trader to make success being a day trader or swing trader. But I kind of wonder if everyone has really an idea what a right trading mindset is. What kind of mindset do you need? We often say, I'm not in the right mindset, or yeah, I just need to work on my mindset. But what is it? What is it exactly that you need to work on? If you look at sports, there are coaches, there are not only coaches from a physical perspective, right, who teach you the skill, but a big part of performance is coaching from a mindset perspective, like in golf or tennis. In every domain where you have to do with performance, mindset comes to play big time. So when I started trading about 10 years ago, I read this book, which was my very first book, called Day Trading for Dummies. And even though it sounds like maybe a book that would not have a lot of good content, at that time, this was a very comprehensive information for me to give me a good basis of what I am getting into. And I never really considered psychology being part of trading at that time. Even when I was learning the strategy, this was really the focus. And all I knew that there are some traits that you have to have as a trader. And if you look into the book, Day Trading for Dummies, they do give you like good reasons to day trade or good reasons to avoid day trading. There was another book that I've read. There were actually two more books that I've read at the very beginning, from Alexander Elder and from Michael Douglas, of course, Trading in a Zone. Um, and I remember reading a paragraph talking about something that had to do with repetitive tasks and mundane tasks doing over and over the same thing. And I was definitely not someone who liked doing that. So I briefly discarded it. I, I thought, oh, that is something that, I'm just going to deal with somehow. I just did not want to admit to myself that maybe trading wasn't the right thing for me. And I just assumed that I will make it a success because that's what I wanted. Another thing that I've read was that you have to have certain traits, otherwise you will not be successful. And my very first reaction for someone who is high achiever was, that's not me. I am going to make it success. And you see, that is something that has to do with growth mindset or success mindset. And a lot of times what I found is that those terms are being used interchangeably with trading mindset. And I think that's where some issues might come into play for traders. Because if you look at the growth mindset, that is basically believing that you can be good at something. And the only thing that you need in order to achieve that is to be very persistent in taking actions so that you develop the skill and you keep practicing it so that you eventually become a master in it, which is very important in trading, right? You have to be persistent. You have to have this very strong ability to evolve and grow and take feedback or get feedback from your actions, from your mistakes, and move forward. Now, if you are high achiever, and a lot of traders are, because if you were not high achiever, then you probably would not care for something as challenging as trading. Many times we can be also very stubborn. And maybe that sounds familiar to you, but being stubborn can sometimes cloud our judgment of what's realistic. And just by being stubborn, we might not want to see what we need to see in order to make right decisions. Just like when I ignored an advice from someone who knew much more about trading than I did, and that I still do. Obviously, I would never compare myself to people who have been trading the market for much longer than I do and have much more experience, because that is absolutely invaluable. And when you start trading, sometimes you might feel you know everything, and if you have taken a lot of profit originally, and if you haven't been humbled by the market yet, then sometimes you might feel invincible. And I remember when I did that, and those moments when you feel invincible, you almost forget that you are just a newbie, that being in the market for 2 or maybe even 5 years, it's still being a newbie. And in fact, it doesn't matter how long you are in the market, you will always be learning. And being humble is one of the traits that you definitely need. And not many people have it when they begin to trade. So there is this very thin line between believing that you can do it, which is really, really good to have that growth mindset. I believe I am able to do that, because you need that to even pursue a challenge. If you, from the start, don't believe that you are able to achieve something, it's, you get this confirmation bias that you will be looking for opportunities and for information to confirm what you already believe. So instead of supporting yourself, you will be sabotaging your efforts. But then on the other side of that belief is that attitude of being less realistic, and then success mindset is very close to the growth mindset, that includes the persistence, adaptability, and your strong will to move forward, and also the ability to pivot and to change and to improve. So you see, the growth mindset and success mindset, they're both really very close together. Now, if you take that and bring it onto trading, yes, you need that for sure, because everyone who is attempting a challenge such as becoming a profitable trader and trade for a living must have that belief and must have that attitude, and has to be realistic, and has to have the ability to pivot and to go with the flow. coming back to stubbornness, you know what happens when you are not going with the flow and you are not able to pivot. If you are just fixated on, I am going to make that work no matter what, that very often starts to bleed in hanging on to your biases within trading day. So when you are in a trade and you have a certain idea, okay, the price is going to move this direction and I want this to work, we all probably know how that ends, and usually not very good. So here the ability to pivot is incredibly important. So what is mindset in general? Because we can talk about mindset or psychology of trading, and a lot of if you look online, there is a lot of talks about how important the psychology is, and especially your emotional intelligence, your ability to manage and to control emotions in trading, that decides about your success. And you will see that the psychology of trading, let's say it that way, is about, roughly 80% of your trading success, if we want some numbers, right? So you do need strategy, you need very sound risk management. And if you don't have control over your emotional side of trading, that is not going to work. So you need strategy, you need very sound risk management rules, and you need the emotional side in order to be able to actually execute your strategy and to stick to your rules. And not many traders can do that. And that's the biggest reason why over 95% of day traders are not succeeding. It's really a staggering number. If you really think about it, then you would say, why do you even want to begin to trade? Why are you doing this to yourself, right? Well, I'm not going to talk about the reasons why people get into trading, because I think for everyone, everyone for himself knows why you're trading. The big reason is freedom. But if you look at the psychological part of it, it is very, uh, it is something that for a high achiever is like this constant dynamic that is pulling you in. Because if you are trading, this is a challenge that you will never really win. This is a fight that you fight that it will always be ongoing. It doesn't matter even how great mindset you have, or it doesn't matter how great you are already in trading, because this is the environment that you are putting yourself in is a constant stream of challenges. Every single day, the market is gonna fire off triggers. Those triggers will touch certain soft points in you, and that will cause that you have to find the right solution. You have to, you're getting challenged, so you have to find the right way to respond to that. And it's always something. There is always a moment of self-reflection, self-development, something to improve. And that is exactly what is so attractive about trading. At least that is what's so attractive about trading to me. The challenge, even though that now I have been trading for a living for a long while, of course, those challenges are still there. So I see trading more as a journey that is helping me, and that helped me a lot already, to become a stronger person, to develop as a better human being. And it might sound strange for some of you, because when you step into trading, you're thinking, I want to make money. But the moment that you release your attachment to that result and needing to make money, it is actually much easier to trade when you focus on the process, when you focus on mastering the process of on mastering the skill and mastering every single step of that journey. So overcoming the obstacles isn't really the only thing that you need to realize as a trader in order to become successful. A big part of trading is being able to exist in the environment of insecurity and developing a level of vulnerability to be able to get confronted, not just with yourself, but get confronted with those challenges every single day and confronted with the fact that nothing is certain. That insecurity is not very common in our daily life to accept. It's very common to exist in our daily life, but a lot of people don't want to see it or don't want to hear about it. And that's why we are doing what we can to make sure that we exclude the insecurities from our life. Let's take, for example, all our insurance structure, right? We want to make sure that nothing bad is going to happen and nothing unexpected is going to happen. That's one of the reasons why we are trying to control everything, not just, things, but also people, so that we don't get confronted with something unexpected. Because this gives us a security feeling. It makes us feel safe. Now, in trading, you are on your own request exposing yourself to insecurity. You are saying, bring it on. You don't know where the price is going. You don't know what is going to happen. And every single moment, anything can happen. And in that environment, you have to make sure that you are emotionally sound. And not only that, that you stay calm and poised and make right decisions. You have to make the decisions that will help you move forward, right? That will help you win, that give you the edge. And that is not easy to do because your inside, your internal, your natural way, the way you are in your life is looking for those securities. And I think it's so important to realize that you are making yourself vulnerable by being in the market. And the market is supposedly the one who can hurt you. But in fact, if you really think about it, the market doesn't know you're there. So the market cannot hurt you. So what you are exposing yourself to is yourself. And that relation to yourself is something that takes time to build or to understand that you are there on your own and only you can save you. So if you are looking for securities and safeties, you are the one you have to look to, not your strategy, not the market to blame, not anyone else. You have to be able to build your own confidence in yourself to make sure that you will take decisions every moment, make decisions that are in your best interest. And that is not so easy. And I'll talk about it in a second, why it is not so easy to do that. You have to be able to handle that insecurity. That is one thing that's coming from trading itself, from being exposed to the market dynamics. But another part that brings that feeling of insecurity is the fact that if you are day trading, if you really want to trade for a living, it's just like being entrepreneur with one difference. So you have your trading business, right? You have to treat it as a business and you're coming to work. And now, usually when you have a company or when you work somewhere, if you do your best, if you put a lot of effort in, or if you work harder, you will start seeing better results. But in trading, this is not the case, and nobody will give you that guarantee that you will have a check ready, waiting for you at the end of the month. So when you start day trading and you have the dream, I do want to be a day trader. I want to make money and I want to travel the world. Remember that that comes with responsibility. Every freedom part comes with responsibility because, in fact, anyone can be free right now. The biggest part of freedom starts in your head because if you have right now as a trader parts of you that cannot free yourself from concept of I have to make money, I cannot lose money. These are concepts that are going to be in your head even when you are making money. Because freedom starts in your head and you have to be able to make yourself free from those thoughts and those patterns that keep coming back in your head and bug you. And this is a beautiful segue to the mindset. So why is it not so easy to always act in your best interest? Whether it's in life, but in trading specifically, and making not just mistakes, but making conscious decisions to break your rules or to stick to the loser while you're sitting there and watching your account value go down. It's not so easy because of your head. And this is where trading mindset comes to play. So when I talk about trading mindset and what I work with my students on is to make sure that you are in the lead of what is going on in your head. And there's a lot going on in your head. If you have ever tried to meditate and sat for just 10 minutes, still doing nothing, not distracting yourself from your thoughts, you will see how much is going on there. And the thoughts that are coming in there, they define how you will be feeling and therefore how you will be acting. So when I talk about the right trading mindset, I mean, what is your current setting of your mind? So mindset. How is your mind at this moment set? And is it right for the trading dynamic and trading environment? Because that setting defines all the thoughts that are coming into your head and telling you to make certain decisions, to stick to your rules, or to talk yourself out of a good winning trade. So if you think about how do you get the setting, how is it that your mind is set in a certain way? That has to do with your upbringing, that has to do with your experiences, what you have learned so far. You have been creating data, a lot of data through your whole life. And that data has been put in certain combinations, creating a code, if you will, that has programmed your setting. And now you are acting out of that code. So the programming tells you, what do you consider good behavior? What do you consider bad behavior? What do you consider good in general? What are you allowed to do? What are you capable of? So a lot of people would struggle with having a growth mindset because they do not believe that they are capable of achieving anything or achieving a certain thing. They might believe they are good at just one thing, and this is what they will keep doing throughout the whole life. And if you don't, and if you have never asked yourself, what is your current setting? You might not be even aware of how much of programming is going on in your life. And the only thing that you need to do really is to look at how you do things that you do, and that will tell you a lot about you're setting. So you will hear people saying about mindset that this is your approach to things, right? What is your mindset? I'm not in the right mindset, so I don't feel in a certain way. Like if you say, okay, I wanna go skydiving, but I'm not in the right mindset for it. You will probably not go, right? Because there is something that is blocking you. There's something that is speaking to you in your head saying, I don't know if I can do that, or I don't feel like doing it. Whatever it is, you describe it sometimes as, I'm not in the right mindset to do the things. So being in the right trading mindset means to be in the position where you are able to exist in the market environment, and perform in that environment so that you can deal with all the triggers, with all the challenges, and make right decisions. And if you have struggled with making the right decisions and taking decisions that are hurting you, and you have been having this emotional, ups and downs, and I call it emotional roller coaster, which I know very well from my own experience. That means that there is something in your programming that is directing you to act in a way that is not aligned with the market environment. Look, if you want to do something, there are always two ways. There is a way of least resistance, going with the trend, and then there is a way where you can struggle. And I grew up in the way of struggle. Not just struggle for the fact of struggling, but if you struggle, that means that you have earned it, right? If you want to achieve something and you have struggled, you feel really fulfilled when you finally get the result. When you just take the road of least resistance, in my upbringing, that meant I'm lazy. So I have struggled my whole life to achieve a lot. And now looking back, I'm like, why did I struggle so much? It would be so much easier if I just went with the flow and went with the trend, and I would be so much further right now. So if you feel you are not going fast enough and you are not as far as you wish you were, or you think you are supposed to be in your trading journey, most likely you are going against the stream. And it doesn't mean you want to, but it just means that there is something in your programming, still in your mindset, that is not aligned with how the market environment and how the dynamic is. So you are struggling because it's like a train would go off track. Right trading mindset is not just, being perfect, but being aligned with the dynamic and the environment, the rules of the game of the market. All right. So if you put it all together and think, okay, so what do I do to be in the right trading mindset? Well, first of all, I recommend to simply look at your actions and looking at what is it that I'm doing that is not working. And then you can ask yourself, what is the reason I'm doing that? What am I trying to achieve? And not from the perspective I'm trying to make money, but what is it? What kind of fight are you fighting inside with yourself that is creating that obstacle so that you cannot align with the trend and with the flow? What is that resistance that you are creating around yourself that you feel you have to struggle through. Remember, anything that you want to achieve requires practice and skill. All these things that are playing itself out is all inside. And in trading, your computer is basically the mirror. And you don't have many people that will tell you, oh, you do that. Why are you doing that? Because you are just there on your own. So you don't get that usual mirror from other people that you get in daily life, that, people who confront you, and maybe sometimes you have a fight with someone or an argument, and then you go back home, you digest it, and you kind of, it's easier to take the lesson. If you don't do that in trading, if you just come back every day and you're just placing trades, if you don't take a moment for those moments of reflection about yourself, not just about your result and how much money you lose, and about yourself, just really looking at, what is my mindset? How am I thinking? What are the thoughts I'm telling to myself? How am I talking to myself? Am I treating myself as a friend, or am I beating myself up every day? Because having the right mindset is really not about one type of mindset. The right mindset is when you are able to adjust yourself to the situation, that is the mindset that is right for that situation, and the mindset that is working with the market. That you cannot have one fixed mindset. So trading mindset is always evolving. And yes, you learn you can learn my mindset skills, which help you how to do that, how to pivot, how to be in the lead of your thoughts, how to reprogram that subconscious code, that programming that makes you do things against your interest. But if you look at the market is always changing. So your mindset has to be very flexible. The setting can never be fixed. The flexibility and ability to pivot and what is right for you. Always choosing what is right for you. Every single trading decision that you make. Nobody can tell you, oh, is it a good place to exit, or is it a good place to enter? Is it a good place to enter for you? How will you feel about it? If you don't take this trade, how will you feel about it? How will you talk to yourself about it? What is right for you? That kind of mindset is what I consider the right trading mindset, because you always have to be focused on yourself, not on anyone else, how much money they're making, how great they are, or how bad traders they are. It doesn't matter, because when you are a trader, you are on your own and you have to take care of yourself, your business. And that's what the right trading mindset is for me. And I hope that I was able to give you a little bit of inspiration to start thinking about it in this way, and give yourself a little bit more compassion and softness. So don't be too hard on yourself, and give yourself the opportunity to choose the way of less resistance, if not least resistance, at least less resistance to start with. Look at, what is it that you are really fighting with? If you would like to learn more about how to develop the right trading mindset, I invite you to visit my website, aheadcoach.com, and go to the blog section. I also have some videos on my YouTube channel. You can look me up under Agnieszka Wood. The links are in the description, so feel free. I invite you to check it out, and if you like it, please subscribe, so you will get notification when I post new content. So thank you so much for listening to the Confidence in Trading podcast. If you are enjoying my show and what I share here resonates with you, please take a moment and review it in Apple Podcasts. I would love to hear your feedback. I would also love to get some suggestions from you if there is anything that you would like me to talk about and give you my point of view on trading psychology or trading mindset. So if you have burning questions, please feel free to email me at launchyourlife@aheadcoach.com. The email is also in the description. Please take a moment to leave the review and don't forget to also hit the subscribe button so you can come back for the next episode. And until then, I say thank you so much for joining me today. I am Agnieszka Wood from Ahead Coach, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye for now.